Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with brand new Outer Worlds gameplay. This is looking magnificent. I simply cannot wait for October to get my hands on this game. Anyways, what I did was broke down all 8 to 9 minutes of this new demo, pointing out 12 brand new details for you all to enjoy and get excited for with the Outer Worlds. Some big, some small. So now let's get right into it, starting off with number 1, which is the quest itself that our player is partaking in. It says, visit Hayes' grave with Nyoka. Now, for those who don't know, Nyoka was actually a brand new companion that was confirmed during PAX East. And it seems we're on her companion quest at this point in time, which is then confirmed in the quest log, which comes up for just a brief moment during this demo, but I paused it and I read the quest description, which I will now deliver to all of you. Nyoka is looking for some closure regarding her old team. The first stop is a grave where she personally buried a man named Hayes, and then the objective underneath reads, Nyoka gave you directions to a spot on Monarch where she buried Hayes, a former member of her old crew. So yes, if you couldn't tell, the gameplay does take place on Monarch, but yes, Nyoka was a former squad of mercenaries maybe. Something happened in her past that involved a team of people, maybe some type of job went wrong, and now we're figuring that out. Apparently, according to Leonard Boyarsky, there are multiple companion quests, so it's going to be interesting to learn more about these as the game progresses onwards. But anyways, it seems like that's what this playthrough was in the middle of. Next is the quest log itself, which includes categories for side and companion quests, completed quests, standard stuff. And then there is botched, which I really liked having here because I think the word failed quests indicates you did something wrong, but botched tells me personally it's consequence for your choices, which sort of fits what this game has been hammering at for a really long while. So I personally like the word choice of botched. It's not a big deal by any means, but it is a little detail I want to point out nonetheless, that the game will let you know when you make a mistake or lose out on a quest. Next is number 3, where we discover a location called the Fallbrook Crossroads, and there are only enemies to take out in this location. And I noticed this across the entirety of this gameplay demo and any previous one, is that usually you'll stumble upon mini locations that just include enemies, but usually the locations that actually have quests or characters to interact with come through some other quest giver. I have yet to see a location where you enter it, it's a town bustling with people, and then you can pick up all the quests you want from there and then go out into the semi-open areas. We do know this is not an open world game. They said it's multiple open levels, which in my personal opinion is exciting in its own right, because they did compare it to more like a KOTOR 2, which you guys know I'm all over. But anyway, I just want to make sure expectations are in check when it comes to these locations. I don't think it's going to have the density consistently of, say, a Fallout New Vegas, where you'd stumble upon pockets of life everywhere. Though keep in mind that this is Monarch, where the terraforming, according to Leonard Boyarsky, did not go well on this planet. So it is hard to sustain life here. So maybe this is something different on Halcyon Colony, but still something worth pointing out. Number 4 is when you're analyzing the Marauder goons. Now, I actually pointed this out in my analysis during the PAX East gameplay demo, and if you see me skip over some details in this, it's because I already pointed out a lot of different stuff in that 20-minute gameplay demo. What this shows us is actually that you can learn more about the enemies you're killing. For example, this Marauder goon reveals that he tracks all tossball games obsessively. It's just something new to the analysis system that we haven't seen before. It adds a bit of personality. It reminds me a bit of Watch Dogs, when you'd be walking along the street and you'd see someone robbed a bank at some point in time, someone's raising a kid, someone's 6 months pregnant. I think that type of stuff is always interesting. It just adds a little personality to the world. It gives writers a little bit of creative freedom to get goofy, to add little touches there, to express themselves in a new way. So I think it's a healthy system to have in place, but more than anything, it's good comedy. Number 5 are some brand new creatures that I picked up on. At one moment in the early part of the gameplay demo, we see a Mantiqueen. This thing looks it looks pretty terrifying. Fortunately, we actually don't get close to it. However, there is another creature we bump into called a cyst pig, which we find upon entering the Borst factory, which is going to contain its own slew of details. And yes, this cysty pig here is exactly what it sounds like, a pig covered in cysts. I thought this was good to point out to emphasize just how crazy these creatures are in the Outer Worlds and how wacky this entire game is. I'm so stoked, man. I seriously cannot wait to play it. It's probably my most anticipated game of the year at this point in time, next to Astral Chain, because oh my god, it's so up my alley. Number 6 is the side quest itself for Slaughterhouse Clive. With the scarcity of Saltuna alternatives on Monarch, Clive Lundberg has been making a killing by operating the planet's last remaining Borst factory, which is what we enter and we see those cysty pigs. Sublight wants to take the self-proclaimed Borst King of Monarch's profits for themselves, and have hired you to get rid of him. Below the summary, it says, make your way to Clive Lundberg's office in the CNP factory and get him out of the Sublight's way. Alternatively, search the factory for a way to sabotage Clive's operations. Catherine suggests investigating the cyst pig food supply, the canning machine, or the financial records. Now, I thought this quest was interesting and was worth pointing out in this video because look at the choices there. It says make your way, and then you can get him out of Sublight's way. Maybe when you meet up with Clive, you're actually able to side with him instead and go back to Sublight, which I'd say is possible considering that you can kill any NPC. Furthermore, they're also offering options on how you can disable Clive's operations, which obviously you can go in there and you can kill him. You can investigate the food supply, the canning machines, or their financial records. And that I think is great because it fits pretty much any build and gives you agency over your playthrough. I really like that. Number 7 is environmental details. I think we're all suckers for that because a lot of us out there are Bethesda Game Studios fans, and we can see on this sign here it says that ahead are Fallbrook, Amber Heights, and Stellar Bay. Meanwhile, Cascadia is off the fork to the left. So I know a lot of RPG players like to turn off their HUD and rely on the game world to give them direction. A lot of people did that with Skyrim, and it really highlighted how well crafted that world is. And then it's really nice to see those types of details making their way into the Outer Worlds. They did say that they made sure that you didn't need to see color to enjoy this game, that it was tested for colorblind people. And I wonder if they did the same thing with HUD. Hey, turn off the HUD. Can you get from point A to point B? Go through questing, know where you are at any given point in time if you really lock in. I think they have tested that given those signs. I think those are signs that development focused on that stuff, but maybe it's just also cool aesthetics, something that I really thought was neat. Number 8 is just a quick one, and it's when you're picking locks, some locks do require materials. This is not something that we saw originally when the Outer Worlds was first revealed back in December of 2018, and we saw some lock picking of a safe. So it's quite interesting to see materials are something that you may need to get into particular areas, especially when we see the player in the demo having such a large amount, and then we have such a little requirement to get in. Anyway, it may seem pointless, but I enjoy it because it encourages hoarding, which in turn I think is an RPG player's natural action, so it works out. Number 9 is the terminals. We can see on one terminal that there is Hack 45 required, and it's a very Fallout-esque terminal in presentation. Meanwhile, Engineering 45 is on another. So skills are not limited just to your hacking when you enter a terminal, and I think that's really important to point out because, for example, in Fallout, it was always about using the science skill and breaking through that way. But now when you get into the computer, there are different things you can do to interact with it based off your build. So it doesn't limit you just to hacking. If you want to access anything computer related, you can be good at engineering and find your way in that way. Number 10 I thought was neat because we see this in a lot of RPGs, but this time around things play out a bit differently. So Clive says his attention is at your disposal, and then Ellie comments on it, and then afterwards Clive acknowledges what she says. Now, normally in RPGs, we see that the companion will chime in, but then the conversation continues as if they said nothing. And I personally understood why, because that's a lot of extra dialogue, that's a lot of extra recording for the game. But because this game's a lot more compact and it's designed to be replayed multiple times over, I think they're able to squeeze in stuff like having Clive say something, Ellie respond, and then Clive acknowledge her, and then continue on with this sentence. I think that type of gameplay is really immersive and brings the characters to life and shows that Ellie's not just your companion, but she's a person standing there contributing to this conversation. She has something to say, and the person you're talking to acknowledges that. I just think it's very important to bring those aspects to life. Nearing the end here, number 11, according to a loading screen that pops up before entering the Borst factory, raising your science skill allows you to tinker your armor and weapons at a workbench, increasing the amount of damage they prevent or cause. So we didn't know there was a workbench. We didn't know what skill it was tied to and what you could do on the workbench. Some people were hoping for weapon modding of some kind, but I think that's where the science weapons step in. This is awesome. I love the idea of tinkering with stuff and improving the equipment I already have so I can stick with it longer. Good stuff. And last but not least is a detail I pointed out, but it's really hard to figure out what's happening because I didn't see any buttons indicate it. But anyway, I'm talking about this purple bar that's on the bottom after entering the factory. When an enemy walks by, there is a similar logo to the one that is next to the purple bar. This only appears in this section within the factory, and I'm unsure if it's stealth related or not, but it's worth pointing out. Also, it has nothing to do with the companion special attacks, as I already had verified that, and it disappears upon entering the room Clive is in. So maybe it's some type of tracker, maybe it's indicating the objectives you can do, because when we looked at the quest log, there were 3 things you could do, and there are 3 dots next to that bar. So maybe it has something to do with that, but it doesn't really explain why the enemy had that same marker next to it. So it's something worth paying attention to, because once that neat blade came out, that's when also the bar popped up. So maybe it has something to do with that. Perhaps that's a science weapon we have yet to be introduced to. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, those are 12 brand new details for the Outer Worlds new gameplay. I cannot wait. Let me know what you're thinking about this game in the comments down below. Are you still excited? Has the Epic Games Store killed your hype? What's going on with you, ladies and gentlemen? Let me hear from you. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.